Ho, ho, ho! Welcome to the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club, boys and girls. Your number one stop for jolly reviews of Christmassy volumes, arcs, or stories that us or yourselves choose, if you're good. You can find us live every Wednesday on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and the replay on all podcast networks. Please put your hands together for your hosts, Shane, Phil, and Scott. Put on your Christmas hat and get yourselves warm as it is time to join the herd.
Ahoy, hoy, hoy, and welcome to the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club. I'm your host this week, Shane, and I'm joined as always by Phil up here in the corner.
Ho, ho, ho. Hello.
You need to dye your beard white for next week.
I was thinking that, yeah. I might just do that.
That would be perfect. And up here, stepping in for Scott, we have once again Martin from Sonic's Comics.
Hey, everybody.
Thank you for stepping in, Martin. Once again, you're becoming a bit of a regular.
You'll save me a spot now.
It's going to be weird not having you on if we.
Yeah.
So yes, this week we had to change it up. Last week we did say we were reading Red Xmas, but we had a bit of a trouble trying to find a digital copy or even a physical copy. It was quite hard to find. I couldn't find one anywhere. So last minute, I think it was Monday, wasn't it, when we decided that we'd given up looking, and we picked Battlepug War for Christmas from Image Comics from 2020.
Why? Like, why did we pick this?
It's got a giant pug on the cover. Why wouldn't we pick it? So, I will give a quick synopsis, but the synopsis, I didn't prepare one, unfortunately, because again, last minute, so I'm going to just read the synopsis off the back of the book. I hope that's okay. I do have it with me. The synopsis is, it's been a few years since the Last Kinmundian and his fateful Battlepug saved the world from a magical apocalypse. So when a familiar threat emerges, they'll need help from old and new friends alike to get back on the job. A great place for seasoned fans and Battlepug beginners to join the adventure. That's the synopsis on the back of this book. Now, that doesn't tell you anything that happens in this book. I probably should have written one down because that is nothing. Basically, it's about a barbarian and a giant pug fighting Mrs. Claus. I mean, she doesn't have a name, who wants revenge because he killed Santa, basically.
But somehow this barbarian is the good guy, but he killed Santa.
I mean, yes. I mean, the first thing he does when we see him is he chops some guy's hand off. So he's a very good guy.
Well, it was Vladimir Putin's hands, wasn't it?
It was up Donald Trump's ass, wasn't it? Yeah. So yes. We'll get into that. Let's say a quick hello to anyone in the chat so far. We have Liam joining this week. Hi, Liam. Welcome back. Heidi ho. Phil, you're in the chat. That's confusing when you do things like that. So I was going to say hello to you, and I've already said hello to you. We have Derpy 51st. 501st. 501st.
501st.
501st. This sounds like a winner of a comic. You're in for a treat, Derpy. You really are. So that's all at the moment. Hopefully more will join. Hopefully others have read this book as well, because I don't want to be the only one that was.
Have you read it, Martin?
Oh, I've read it. I've put myself through it.
Yeah.
Let's go with initial thoughts then, Martin. Go on, tell us what you thought.
I thought this was awful. This was shocking. At the end of it, I felt like crying because I couldn't believe I actually got through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The synopsis is a lie. How can you say this is good for Battlepug like newbies?
Yes, 100%.
It was completely wrong.
Yeah, you need a prior knowledge of this. Apparently there's a compendium, like a whole other trade, a big book.
It's called the Compendium.
I mean, the pun, like, yeah, it's there, but it's very weak.
I just think at the start, it starts off on a bad place because it tells you that you need to have read this compendium to know anything of what's going on. And I was like, oh, straight away, I was on a negative. So, unfortunately, with the first couple of pages, I couldn't help but tear this book apart.
Yeah, I mean, they had the massive like previously on, but they didn't really tell you the previously on. They just gave you a very, very rough thing, like guide of what had happened, and then told you the names of the characters in the book, and then expected you to just read it. And I don't know, Phil.
If I'm being honest, I actually enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to, but it still wasn't good. Like for me, in my own opinion, and I want to highlight this comment from Liam. He preferred this to the naughty list. Like, we loved the naughty list last week.
The naughty list was fantastic. We only scored that low because it didn't end.
He scored that at 2, and he thinks that was better than this. So this must be a 0.5.
Wow.
To be fair, it was one of those ones. It was a last minute change. We get it. We have never read any of the Battlepug stuff before, so we are starting off on a negative already in terms of you're not caught up. However, I definitely gather that this has got nothing to do with the Battlepug world. Like, obviously, it's a side story about Mrs. Claus and her evil elves, and it was a bit of fun, but it didn't hit home. It didn't land with me. I wasn't really interested in it. They had this really eclectic. Is that the right word? Is that a smart word?
Yep. That's a very smart word.
It's eclectic array of characters and like all mixed in. Like, so you had Santa, you had the flipping My Little Ponies, you had Vladimir Putin, you had the Sasquatch, you had all these different mad things, and even at the end with this thing coming out of the portal was like a mixture of like Godzilla and a giant Iron Man and something else all mixed into one. So just threw all this into the book, and it didn't really make a lot of sense.
And then it was fighting a giant penguin with wings and polar bear body. It does feel like this was a drug-induced script. Like someone just got high and went, "What if we did this and then that and then this?"
I had to check it weren't written by Grant Morrison. Just to be safe.
I think the thing that got me, like straight away, was 3 pages in to this barbarian fantasy magical world, and the writer threw his politics straight in there. You had Vladimir Putin with his hand up Donald Trump's ass saying, "I'll make this village great again," and it's like 3 pages in, you couldn't leave your politics out of a fantasy book set thousands of years ago. It didn't need to be in there, did it? Like, really, that could have been any character. It didn't have to be Vladimir Putin. I mean, he's even got the sickle. He even turns into a bear. Like, there's no interpretation of that character that is Vladimir Putin.
100%. He spoke broken English as well. It wasn't even proper English. Like, it's 100% in.
I just think my eyes rolled so hard, like I saw my brain. I was just like, oh, I don't need this 3 pages in. Because the cover, I mean, this is a book I would read, I'm not going to lie. Look, it's a massive, dopey looking pug with a barbarian riding him. That got me.
I'll say, as soon as I looked at that, as soon as I saw the change for this week, I thought, oh, do you know what? That looks like a fun little read, little Christmas tale with a pug on the cover. It's going to be a little, a little fun factor. And
fun little barbarian adventure with a giant dog, and we're going to just have some laughs along the way, but it didn't really happen. Before we move along, can I just say hello to Connie because she can't stay. Hi Connie, thanks for joining. And we have Kepler's dad. He says he logs on to see if he should read it, and we answered him straight away, so that was quick. I guess he logged straight off again. And Triple G's in Evening Beats. Hi Triple G, thanks for joining. I think it did have some good qualities. I'm not gonna just downplay everything because I did like the character designs for most of the characters. Like the ladies were very lovely looking. very voluptuous. I do like that body type on my female characters. I did like the monster designs as well. The elves were great. Like the abominable snowman, I think, was my favorite character. That scene was hilarious when he had him tied up in the cave and he's feasted on all the elves, and then he was about to eat the barbarian and he just beats the crap out of him, and then he just asks for a leg. All right, just give me a foot, Gordon. And then I thought that was quite funny. And then in the next battle scene, he's wearing his pelt, like he's killed him and skinned him.
Yeah,
I thought a nice little touch like that.
Yeah,
but there just weren't enough moments like that for me, and it's a shame.
A few jokes and a few things were funny, like if again, I can't think of the character's name, but we're going to call him Putin, and unless they're listening to us, maybe we shouldn't. But that guy had like candy canes
instead of
his hands, with his hands were chopped off. It's like it's comical, it's silly. In terms of an adventure, there wasn't much of an adventure. They just went from place to place, but you didn't see the place really. There was no world building. There was nothing like that. It was quite simple story, and it was a bit of a dumb fun. But again, it's something that we would never have picked. I don't think. I mean, I don't usually like the cover, but I don't think we'd ever pick this for the Nerd Herd, and I'll likely forget it once we log off tonight, to be brutally honest.
Yes, it's very forgettable. I can't, like, I've had to write down even just the name, like the Kinmundian. Like, he doesn't have a name; he's just called the Last Kinmundian, and it's like it's not very catchy, is it? It's not like Conan, you know.
But
that's
again,
catchy.
It's a problem from not having that previous story. If there's a whole, I can't say it. If there's a compendium of content prior, even when they go into the first town, they go, "Oh, we're back here." But I'm assuming you visited there in the original story, which is supposed to hit home with the reader. But
yeah, because they had that guy, which I can't think of his name, Scribbly or Scrabbly or whatever his name is meant to be, and he obviously explained that this town wasn't like this before, and he was now taking control, trying to build this town back up. But then once he was offered the chance for a battle, he was, "I'll go with you. I hate this town. The food stinks," or whatever. And just like what did he offer in the book? He didn't do anything really, and so he gives a bit of a backstory about what happened in previous times, and then we had him going with them for the fight, but there was no fight really. Well, he wasn't involved much in it, was he? It was a strange put together story.
Do you think this was originally meant to be like a Christmas book? I mean, it's called War on Christmas, but you could quite easily replace the elves with trolls, and you know, the candy cane woman, Mummy Claus, whatever her name is. You could have changed her with a female barbarian, and nothing in this book would have changed because it's not Christmassy at all. It's not Christmassy, apart from elves and candy canes.
That's all it is. Elves and Candy Cane made this a Christmas themed book, and that's why we're reading it. But it shouldn't be. It didn't bring any festive joy. Naughty list last week for that guy being miserable and depressed brought me more joy than this. It was more Christmassy last week, and yeah, it's just I don't know why they've just kind of shoehorned it in, and because they did it, like, who bought this?
I'm guessing fans of the original run bought this because you wouldn't just pick this up. Like, if they could have made this a standalone story if they wanted to by removing certain characters, because half of them weren't needed for the storyline.
As Martin said, you didn't need to even know at the very start what it said. You need to read the previous stuff. If they didn't do that and just say once upon a time, this battle raged for years, but well, here I am now on a new mission or a new adventure, and then you come across Santa or Mrs. Claus, whatever. But yeah,
this would have suited more of a one shot for this series because it frustrated me at the end when we got to be continued. It didn't even have the end. I was like, so you've not given me a beginning. Now you've not given me an end. Is all you've done is piss me off. Because I've read your story, but it looks like it's in the middle of a story that you've got planned, and you've produced this trade to slap Christmas on the trade to pass it off as a Christmas mini series. And it just didn't land, unfortunately.
No. And Liam brings up a good point. He says it's called The War on Christmas, and Christmas wasn't mentioned once. Even the Santa character was referred to as the King of the Elves. Yeah. So,
But I know it sounds really stupid, but I think like there's some sort of copyright thing, like they can't use the word Santa, or do you know what I mean? Like,
Coca-Cola's going to come after
yeah,
them.
that's what I'm thinking. Is there like why why did they call him Santa, or even like a play on his name, or whatever? Like they didn't even try. And you're right, War on
No.
Christmas, but Christmas
I
wasn't.
don't think this was ever meant to be a Christmas book. I think they just said change the trolls to elves and make her look like candy cane warrior, and we'll just call it a Christmas book, because you could take those tiny little elements out and nothing in the story changes.
But as you said, like or what Martin was saying, this could be a one shot. Like obviously DC and Marvel do it, like Batman and whatever else. They'll occasionally bring in this random one shot in December with a Christmas themed story, and that's it. You take it for what it is, and you read it. Think, like or hate it, you forget about it, type of thing. But this is a 5-issue mini story, 5-issue series, and it's
that ends on a to be continued. So it's not like Martin said, it's not even a full story. They go through the portal at the end to find the pug's original owner and his girlfriend, and it ends with them floating around in space. It's just, I mean, we'll get to the writing later, but I have some issues with that as well. But what about the art? What did you think of the art?
You'll hate me for saying this. Maybe I just have a bad memory of it, but it kind of reminds me of, I want to say the Hecate, kind of slightly, or maybe it was like a random Batman Superman story. There's like the girl with the dark hair, I think her name was Maul. There's part of her that kind of reminded me of Wonder Woman slightly, the way she was drawn. And I can't remember what story it was we read. I thought that's actually quite nice, quite pleasant. That was fine.
It's weird that you mentioned Wonder Woman, because she does actually have a gold gauntlet on her arm, and it did remind me of the gauntlet of Atlas that Wonder Woman owns. Like the design of it was pretty spot on as well. So yeah, that's weird. Great minds.
Yeah, that's it is very cartoony. But I like I say, I enjoyed it, and you mentioned before the character designs were quite entertaining and quite fun, especially the kind of like the real kind of. I don't know how to describe this, like the bebop and rocksteady style ponies or horses.
Yeah, the bronies.
Yeah. They were fun.
Yeah, I love their names as well. You had like Dank Meme, and I wrote them down again. I had to.
Slam Prancer,
Sugar Spit, and Dank Meme. And Dank Meme had like his hair over his eyes, and he had like his nose pierced, and they were just, I mean, the art is fine. It's decent enough. Like some pages are so much better than others. Some pages, the barbarian himself just looked like a bunch of balls. Like his arms were just circle, where it was to show the muscles. And then other times he just looked like a normal person. But the women were drawn really well in this.
Yeah, I thought the monsters as well. I thought they looked really cool. The artistic style of this wasn't an issue for me. I expect that from a fun read. The cartoony, playful type artwork, it doesn't faze me at all. That didn't deter me at all. It was just, unfortunately, it was the story that put the biggest dampener on this. Because, as you say, there were some rough pages, but nothing that would stop me enjoying it if the writing was good.
No.
Yeah.
Shall we have a look at some pages to show everyone what the art actually looks like?
Yeah.
To give them a rough idea. So, I picked this page because, like I said before, I love the Abominable Snowman, and the whole scene in the cave. It was just so enjoyable. It was quite fun. I can imagine that on like one of my 90s, Cartoon Network Saturday morning cartoons. That would be Johnny Bravo or someone.
I was going to say for some reason I'm getting Johnny Bravo vibes, with the big arms and stuff. The kind of shape of the guy's body, or whatever. So yeah, Johnny Bravo.
It's the three panels in the middle.
Yes, it's the way he picks him up and just starts slamming him against the ceiling. It was really good. Like that whole scene, I think, has a tiny little short, a comic little short in the back of something else I'm reading. Like if you're getting the Tales of this Barbarian in 3-page little snippets at the end of something I would probably carry on reading. But it's just, that was just a little gold mine in the middle of this whole unfulfilling experience. But the art's great. The Abominable Snowman's face is great. The art, everything about the composition is all fine, and the sound effects, it all works. It's just when they start talking, and that sounds so bad.
That's so true.
But you're nice to look at, love. Just don't talk.
The type of date you want to pick up in a nightclub.
Yeah. Phil, what page did you pick?
The one after yours, or well, a few pages after. It was just because it has, like, say, the pelt or whatever it's called off the Abominable Snowman, but like you don't see him getting killed. Like you obviously see him, you know, like the scene before, he wants to know where the magic door is, type of thing, or whatever the door is, and next thing he's just wearing them over his head. But then you've got like the kind of the bronies, the guy with the weird hair and the nose ring, and it was just a really cool scene. And there's a bit of snow. I like a bit of snow.
You do like a bit of snow.
But yeah, like even the one, the background with the kind of what would you call that? The hairstyle down the middle.
Mohawk,
that's the one. And yeah, just
the
that was fun.
Brohawk.
Yeah, it's a really fun page. Really enjoyed it, and it was more to do with the fact that the pelt, but also we referred to ankles in one book. I think it was Middle West, and how he's such a big, thick, muscular guy has such skinny ankles. He's gonna hurt himself.
I didn't notice that, but I can totally see it now. His feet are tiny,
especially with calves like that as well. Look at the size of them.
I know.
He's gonna hurt himself. You know what they say about men with small feet?
What do they say? Small socks?
Small shoes. The girl riding the pony in the foreground here with the red hair, the magic girl who could control vines and stuff. She was very aggressive, very sweary. I think they tried a bit too hard to make her funny with the way she was talking.
She kind of was giving me I Hate Fairyland vibes slightly.
100%.
Just again, but not to the extent where it was so bad or even nice in a way. It was just like, it was clearly you're just trying to copy some things and throw it in. But it didn't really work, in my opinion.
I got that as well, yeah. But it's Image, so they're allowed to steal their own ideas, aren't they? So
I have to say, I did like her character design when she used her powers earlier on in like issue 2 or 3. She sort of grew up. She became an adult. Her character design there, I thought was really nice. I can't remember where that was now.
I don't think I noticed that.
Yeah, she used her vine powers, and then you saw her as like an adult. And I thought her character design there just looked really cool. It's a shame we didn't see it further on in the book.
Yeah, her powers were great, like the whole controlling the green thing, awesome. And it made for another decent joke at the end where she says it's all frozen over, so she can't use her powers. And the horses were like, right, lads, we're out of here. And they just run off and then get stomped by the giant monster straight away. See, that's a decent joke. Like, when their jokes hit, they hit. But they were few and far between. Like, either be a full-on comedy book, like I Hate Fairyland. There's no denying that I Hate Fairyland is a comedy book. All the action and stuff is just thrown in there for a laugh. But then this tries to be a bit more serious when you have, you know, he's tied up and the owner of the pug is coming to take him home. And it's like meant to be this emotional scene. And I don't know. I feel like we picked the wrong book, obviously, because we haven't read the first. This feels like a sequels month book, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it's certainly not a Christmas book. I can promise you my pick next week is definitely a Christmas book. That I can promise. But
and the thing we've said about sequels months, like you mentioned, it's like a sequel. Like we've always said, like the volume 2s of anything are always like a lot slower. It's not as good as the first one. But we can't even say this here because we haven't read the first one, so that would make this even worse. Do you know what I mean? Like we have nothing to kind of give this slightly more credit for because like we knew how good the first one was, you know. So we're kind of left a little bit meh.
Well, the back of the book promises that new readers can jump on here and be introduced to the world and enjoy it. So they lied straight away.
Yeah. And the thing is, that compendium, I stumbled across it. I think it's got 6 volumes in it. So it's not even like this. Yeah, this is not even like this is a 2 or even a 3. This is way down the line. So
no way has this made 6 trades before this. Like, this is the novelty of a giant pug. As much as I adore the giant pug, what's his name? He's got a name. Modi, he's called when his owner
No,
comes.
it's Sprinkles.
Yeah, Sprinkles.
Sir Sprinkles.
Yeah, it was like Sir Sprinkles, something, punker, nickel or something. I don't know, whatever. Weird.
But he's adorable, and look at his goofy eyes and his face. Absolutely great design for the pug. But that novelty would wear off on me really quickly in a book. You know, how long can that last? Battle pug, and yet he doesn't do any battling really. He runs around for a bit and then leaves.
Yeah, well, the dog himself doesn't do anything at all, does he?
No.
He might throw what? I think he grabs Putin and then fires him somewhere, doesn't he? He throws him away, I think, at one point. That was it.
Oh yeah, when he turns into the bear at the beginning, yeah.
But I was expecting like even the name Battlepug. So he's riding the pug like in the battle against, like, I was thinking like orcs or goblins or something, you know, and just like chopping them down. He's just riding through them all, whatever. But there was none of that. So
or at least have him like, you know, Battle Cat. You know, Battle Cat helps He-Man out. He-Man and Battle Cat, they're a team. He's not just his steed. You know, he jumps off Battle Cat. Battle Cat will go fight Beastman while he's fighting Skeletor. Battle Cat gets his claws dirty. Pug, he doesn't do anything.
No,
I know he's a dopey pug, but yeah.
I'm with you. As soon as you said Battle Cat, then I was thinking that it had to be He-Man. That's what I was hoping for.
Well, it's a barbarian riding a giant dog. I mean, obviously they got the idea from a barbarian riding a giant cat. Like, I don't know how they got it past like copyright laws, but so the dog's not a cat, is it? That's how.
I've just checked it just to make sure my source is right. This is the 6th volume. Technically, there is 5 volumes in the Pug Compendium
before this.
So you're looking at least 25 issues before this.
Ouch.
That's mental.
But they could be really, really good. That's the thing. Like, we've missed out. We've started at the wrong place. Kind of reminds me of the time that, do you remember we read Daredevil, and it was a volume 1, but he's in San Francisco. But like there was like 3 or 4 volumes before that. They explained why he went to San Francisco, but we didn't start there.
No, so it's kind of the problem with Marvel rebooting all the time, isn't it? Yeah. When you pick up volume 1.
This is kind of like they've rebooted this. It doesn't say Battlepug Volume 5. I know it's called War and Christmas, but you would look at this and think this is a standalone story. And they've obviously sold it, said that you can read this on its own for new readers. You can't. It does not work. It's not a reboot. It's not a jumping on point. You very much need what went on previously, because I feel like with characters too, it didn't really do well to develop them in terms of make you care for them. I think, and cheaply, they want everyone to care for the dog, the pug.
Oh yeah,
naturally. Like, but you know me, like stray dogs. I don't care for the animals really. I'm not interested. But I think everyone else, you didn't really feel anything for them at all.
No,
I don't think.
No, they were just expecting you to already have felt that from 5 previous volumes, I guess. Exactly. I did really like the Queen in her like super armor. Like, she says, if she's not wearing the armor, a single scratch can kill her. So she's got her like
Sasha, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she's got that armor on. She's cool. Although she says it makes her invulnerable, but when the horse kicks her in the face, she bleeds. I know she gets back up, but she bleeds. So
plus that, whenever you have that line, I can't get hurt with this armor on, and then you see the last issue where she kind of steps up and fights the Queen Claws woman. I thought at some point something was going to happen with her. She'll have her armor knocked off, or she'll sacrifice herself, or something like this, and she'll end up dying. Like, it was set up for her to die in this, really, by saying that one line, I can't be hurt with this armor.
Unless she mentioned it twice, and that was, Chekhov's gun. You can't mention something and then not use it.
That's what I thought, and unless maybe the writer is thinking to themselves, right, we need new readers here. We'll get people in with this, and we'll just explain some things, and they'll explain that she can't die with this armor. But like, we naturally, if you're going to say it, you need to use it. You need to die.
Yeah.
You at least look like you're going to get hurt. Maybe the armor's falling off, and you're about to be stomped on by the big monster, and then Battlepug comes in and saves her.
Or maybe. The name of the girl, her lady in waiting, is it the one that's training the young girl? She's in love with the queen.
Yeah, I forget her name.
Because Mole notices, and she's like, "Oh, you're in love with the queen." Maybe she gets hurt, so the queen gives her the armor to heal her, to keep her alive. So then she's got to put herself in danger. Something just to amp up the worry for these characters. Because at no point did I think any of them was going to die or even get hurt.
The world wasn't really under threat because the monster that come through was quite stupid. But silly, and to be fair, it was actually quite a good way. It was defeated. The pumpkin seeds. So there you go. That's what Scribbly had to do. He had to have the pumpkin seeds. So that was his thing. He needed to do, and he threw the pumpkin seeds up, and she just goes boom, and then they all just the vines come out.
But why pumpkin is Halloween? So why couldn't it have been like holly? Or, something Christmassy, like
some cranberries,
mistletoe, cranberries. There you go. Something Christmassy, but pumpkins. So this could have been the war on Halloween. If you'd have changed just two little things.
It could have easily been the war on Halloween. You're right. Something like that.
This was probably called War of the North or something like that, or Snow Wars. Just anything else. There's no way this started as an idea for a Christmas book because it's not. No. There's far too little Christmas in this book. James Copley is joined. Excelsior heard. Yes, Excelsior. I can't do it. I can't do it as good as Stan Lee in all the Spider-Man games. What do we think of the writing? Because I noticed quite a few spelling mistakes in this, like grammar errors and stuff like that. It was very off-putting.
Yeah, I didn't notice them myself, to be honest, but maybe it's because I'm a bit daft as well. However, it was quite simple as well. Like, nobody had really had good conversations. It was all like one line type of thing, wasn't it? It was just like everything felt a wee bit meaningless. Didn't really offer a lot. That's what I said. It didn't offer us character development. There was nothing too serious. The one conversation I can remember was the one you mentioned there about I can't remember her name, the girl who had feelings for the queen, and how Maul could see it type of thing. Is it that obvious? I think she says. Like, that was the only meaningful conversation I can remember. After that, there was the interactions were a bit weak in general.
Yeah, I mean, we know why Mrs. Claus. I know she's not Mrs. Claus, but she's not given a name in this book. I did double check, but she's not called anything but the Queen of the North or something. So she doesn't have a name, so I'm going to call her Mrs. Claus. We know why she wants revenge, because the barbarian has killed her husband. Would have been nice to have some flashbacks, even if that was from a previous volume. I don't know if it was. It might have been. This may have been the culmination of one or two of the other volumes. Would have been nice to just have a page showing you what he did. You see him. I know we saw the little bit of flashback with obviously Santa had him as a slave, and then he grew too strong and he fought back. But it would have been nice to have a bit more of that sprinkled throughout so that we could actually see her motivations a bit clearer. Just knowing what someone's doing it's not as clear as seeing it. It's a comic. It's visual media. Okay, this is not a novel. This is visual media, and it's show don't tell. You can't tell me something in a comic book. You have to show me. That's the whole point of me reading a comic book. If I want you to tell me something, I'll read a novel. Same with TV shows. Don't tell me the character is great. Don't tell me the character did something. Show me. And then that way I can associate the actions with the character. But if you just keep telling me that they've done something, I'm not caring. You can tell me the character is the nicest person in the world and they're so sweet and they're so kind and they're so funny. But unless they do something in the comic that matches that, I'm not going to associate those characteristics with that character. Does that make sense?
Yeah. This story would have paid by having one of the issues as a flashback.
Yeah.
it would have helped the story. It's not even like it had limited issues. Look at last week. The story last week was 4 issues. It still managed to give us a backstory. This was 5. You could have dedicated one of those issues just to giving us a little bit of backstory on Mrs. Claus. We call her Mrs. Claus, to give us some insight why she's so angry. But no, it didn't really give us anything.
But also, it looked at one stage how, she let the, what's his name, the Kinmundian, whatever, I don't know, like she
stupid name.
Yeah, she untied him. I was thinking, okay, is this some sort of double cross? Like, is she on his side? Like she wanted to get Putin all along. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, or had other means, and then it's just like, okay, and then they just had a fight, and she thought she killed him, but like it didn't mean anything when she killed him. So like I said, we didn't have anything to care for, and it's just.
Because she didn't just want to kill him, she wanted to hurt him. Like, she wanted to take his dog away from him because she knew that would hurt him the most. So she somehow found the dog's owner. That wasn't explained, how she knew which realm to go to find the dog's owner. Why was it explained in one of the previous 5 volumes that this dog is from another realm? Why would you not assume a giant dog exists in a world with talking bronies and, magic girls who can summon green... What?
Poison Ivy. She's
Poison Ivy, yes.
Yeah.
Gertrude / Poison Ivy.
Even has the red hair, the ginger hair to match. It's Poison Ivy.
Yeah, full green outfit. Of course, it's baby Poison Ivy.
We have He-Man with Poison Ivy. We have
Gertrude from I Hate Fairyland.
Battlecat.
Yeah, Battlecat. They're just taking things from other, and obviously Santa too, or well, suppose Santa's legacy. They're taking things from other stuff and putting it in, and I don't think it worked, unfortunately. But
no.
Liam, by all means, if I don't be still in the chat, he seemed to have really enjoyed it. At least,
he says
at some level.
He's got a little review here. He says, I enjoyed the randomness and the comedy, whilst very forced. Did generate a couple laughs for me. Definitely wasn't a book for newcomers though, and that hindered the experience. It's true. The back says it is, but it's clearly not. And that could have been changed. Like we said, take out some of the characters and don't mention things so much. They're constantly mentioning things that have happened. And you can't do that if you want new readers to come into it. Especially, like, they didn't even put the little asterisk there to tell you what trade or what issue what they're mentioning happened in.
100%. There's no reference.
It was just literally go read the compendium. It's like, okay, thanks. I
think the Christmas stuff aside, the barbarian adventure stuff, like the world, absolutely fine. I quite enjoy the world. It's a great idea for a world. You've got your pirates and you've got your magic people, your queens and kings and giant pugs and even little talking pugs. Like he's got 2 little pugs with him that talk. Absolutely fine. I'm fine with all that. But to call it the War on Christmas and just have like 5 elves and Mrs. Claus, it doesn't make it a Christmas book, unfortunately. And after last week's, which was fantastic, we loved last week's, but it only scored low because it just stopped. Last week's book just stopped, and we were all just really disappointed in that.
We can't discredit Liam's 2 out of 10,
We'll say he gave it a 2 because he was so disappointed that it just stopped.
Yeah, that's what I take from it. Yeah, he's just holding it all out. He just want to let it all out. So he's like, yep, 2, dead end.
I'm looking forward to seeing what he scores this week.
Oh, God. It's got to be more than a 2, isn't it? Obviously, he likes this more than last week.
But to be fair, I'm kind of with him slightly in terms of like I like the randomness, and some of the comedy was I did laugh a few times. And it is a bit silly, and it's one of those things, if you don't take it too seriously, you probably could allow yourself to enjoy it more. Obviously, huge issues, it's not a Christmas book. There's so much stuff we didn't know beforehand, all the stuff we talked about. But I don't know. He's given it 10 out of 10 just to annoy Phil. It doesn't annoy me at all. It doesn't at all. So I'm with you. I think this is actually maybe better than it should maybe get overall, but it will be better than the 2, I think. But it's not better than Naughty List.
No,
I think
it's
the
not.
only thing about the writing I did like is with the bad language. I loved it that they blocked it all out to try and make it look as if it's a kid-friendly book, but then again, it left it for interpretation.
Yeah.
So I was obviously adding my own words in to humor it up a little bit with certain things. So those I did appreciate.
Yeah.
So
I do think like it was a bit much for her. It was just a little bit much. Like maybe if a couple of the other characters had said a naughty word throughout as well.
Yeah, but
You
I
know?
think that was her character trait, wasn't it? That they referred to her having a potty mouth or whatever it was
Yes.
called. So.
But because she's a kid, like put a couple of swear words in for the adults and don't block them out, but only block them out when she swears because she's a child. Like that would have added an extra layer to the writing, you know. Like we know she's a child, so she shouldn't be swearing. So we'll block the swear words out so you can't see them. But if the barbarian says piss, that's fine. You know, like he's a fully grown man, he can say it. But I enjoyed the world. And I enjoyed the art and I enjoyed all that. It's just, I'm really disappointed in the Christmas aspect because it's Christmas wave and I was expecting a Christmas book. I was expecting a barbarian and a pug versus Santa or, you know, something stupid like that.
Against Santa and his reindeer. Like, where were the reindeer?
Yes.
You know?
Or, you know, like Santa gets hurt. So a
Santa and
barbarian and a pug
Rudolph.
have to deliver the presents. So you've got a giant pug pulling the sleigh and a barbarian dressed as Santa delivering the presents. There you go. There's your Christmas book. Sorted. One issue, 24 pages.
I think, you know, we've said before, like previous years, when Christmas books are very difficult to kind of get right. I mean, Klaus was an exception. It's fantastic. And the naughty list last week could have potentially been, or should have been better had we got an ending. But the other things we've read, they all kind of they weren't very good overall. All the things we've read over the 3 years, whatever, and it's just like it's really hard to
Batman Noel, maybe.
Batman, yes, well, I liked it too. But then, what was the other one we read?
Zombie Christmas Carol.
Yeah, Zombie Christmas Carol, and there was something else, Humbug, and they just weren't very good, you know, in comparison to Klaus and Batman Noel, I suppose. I mean, but it is hard to find Christmas books because it's such a, what's the word, like a cash in usually. It's like, oh, it's Christmas time, let's write a Christmas book. Like no one thinks of writing a Christmas story.
No.
You know,
and they definitely don't think about reworking it. Like Klaus's reimagining is fantastic.
Yeah.
The way that is written, the way he is designed, and the way he becomes Santa is beautiful. And a live action film or a TV series, I would sit down and really enjoy that. Same with the Naughty List, complete reimagining of Santa Claus. That's why they work, because they're new, because we already have it ingrained in us, the original story of Santa Claus, don't we? So if you just write a story about a jolly fat guy in a red hat, we are going to nitpick and pull that apart because it's not the one we remember from our childhood. So if you reimagine it, and that's fine, because then we've got nothing to go against and we enjoy them more.
Do you not find though with all seasonal books except for Halloween, because let's be honest, horror is a genre on its own that will easily tick the Halloween box. It's either going to be a hidden gem that you love, or it's a complete flat flop. There's no middle ground.
Like correct me if I'm wrong, Shane, did we do Valentine's Day themed books for February? Did we do we done Mad Love, didn't we? That was February time.
Yes, I think I did.
We tried to think about books like related to that, and again, you're right. If you follow a theme, you're not really going to hit them. Halloween would be an exception for horror books.
Yeah, I mean Halloween works because there's horror books out all year round.
Yeah,
all year round. And apart from Naughty List, which came out in July, you don't really get Christmas books throughout the year.
But maybe that's what it is. So Klaus and the Naughty List were obviously ideas that they the Naughty List gets a Santa book. They have the idea to do this and bring it out. Where, as we mentioned, I think with this, it was one of those things that they had Battlepug, they had the world, they had the characters. we're coming up to Christmas time. Let's just do a Christmas theme book. Oh, but don't want to do the work because we've already done this other story with like like trolls and a monster. But we'll just make that Mrs. Claus and make these guys elves, and they definitely have written this in a different way, and they've made it fit for Christmas. But as Martin mentioned, it's a one shot's fine. Even an extra or an 80-page special one shot, whatever, that would have been fine. But for 5 issues.
I wasn't expecting it to be 150 pages when I opened it, to be honest. I did think this was just going to be a really breezy 50, 60 page read. I was like, it's just obviously a one shot. It's 150, close to 150 pages. Mm-hmm. You get through it. It's not a slog. I'll give them that. Like, it's very breezy read. So there's a bonus. There's a positive. So we have got some positives.
Yeah, if you want to experience it, it's not a hard slog. It is a site you can sit down for half hour for and shoot through it if you dare.
Yeah, I mean, I did it all in one go. So, and that's a plus as well, because if I'm reading a bad comic book, no matter how many pages it is, I won't read it all in one go because my brain just shuts off and I'm just like, I'll go make a cup of tea, and I sometimes forget to even pick it back up for a day or two. So reading it in one go is a compliment to a book for me. So there's that. And the covers, I do want to mention the covers. I did read it in the trade, so you see the covers as you go throughout. Some of the covers are fantastic.
Yeah.
There's one with the ponies and one with just him and Pug on the front. Beautiful, beautiful covers.
What I like as well is I don't think they're the covers. Like the next page, like this, every page or every issue kind of started with him in front of this kind of vortex thing, didn't it? And him kind of crawling through the snow, and the fact that Battlepug is written in the snow, like a big footprint type of thing, I thought was quite fun.
Yes,
so people can see the covers are lovely.
Yeah, they are good. Yeah, but don't judge a book by its cover, judge it by its interior. And it didn't grip me. Like I say, that has elements to it that are positive. It's fine. It's just for what it's trying to be as a Christmas story. That's where it's fallen flat, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Liam has another idea for it. Barbarian kills Santa and must take up the mantle of Santa thereafter. See, there you go. What about?
He's forced to, like the guy from the naughty list,
Yeah,
Nicholas.
like it's like he's cursed by Santa. He's like, oh yeah, there you go. Then you be Santa, and then he's got his pug that helps him deliver presents. That would have been, I don't know, maybe funny. It didn't lean into one side or the other. It had the action and it had the swearing and it had the fighting and it had the comedy, but it didn't lean enough into one of those. Like, what do you want to be? Do you want to be a comedy action, or do you want to be an action that just has some comedy sprinkled throughout? It needed to pick a side, and I don't think it did, unfortunately. I feel really negative, and I don't like being negative towards a Christmas book because I love Christmas.
Yeah, how you feel.
And this is the plan to read festive books is to make you kind of get the good spirits for Christmas time, make you feel good. And this doesn't disappoint in terms of you feel really angry or pissed that the book was poor or anything. It doesn't make you feel Christmassy,
No.
This is why I will wait till I reread Klaus once we have all our Christmas picks over the line, and then I'll feel Christmassy after that.
I think I may have to read Klaus tomorrow just as a palate cleanser for this.
But you don't know how bad. Well, unless you've read next week's book already, but you don't know how bad that could be. There we go.
No, I haven't read next week's book, but I have skimmed through to see the art, and the art looks lovely. So, yeah. Well, shall we get to our final thoughts and scores on this then?
Yeah.
And see where it lands on the leaderboard.
Like I said, we could probably try and stretch this out for another 10 minutes, but I think there's nothing else left to say. You're right.
No,
you final thoughts and scores.
Yeah, and I mean, the only thing we're going to keep saying is just it's not a Christmas book. The art's decent, character design's great, story's just really lacking, unfortunately. But again, is it the book's fault or is it our fault for not reading the previous 5 volumes?
It's our fault.
Well, I mean, if this said volume 6 on it, it wouldn't have been in the pile to read. We wouldn't have added it to the emergency the emergency pile.
But
So we wouldn't have read it.
this is the thing. So just so people are aware, we couldn't read X, as we mentioned. So I think Shane, you gathered 4 or 5 different books and put them in the group chat with Scott. We got Scott to pick one, but literally it was a case of judging the book by its cover. I think.
I'm gonna tell you the options that I gave you. Shall we tell everyone what we were going to choose from? So we had the Batman Adventures Holiday Special, which is the Mr. Freeze story that ended up becoming the animated film Sub-Zero.
Okay.
We had the LaFlea's Christmas special from DC. Yeah, he's the Orange Lantern, where he has to discover the meaning of Christmas. He's the most selfish, like Green Lantern is greed, and then he has to discover the meaning of Christmas. It's a fantastic book. Of course, Battlepug. Then we had Archibald Saves Christmas, which is that little black and white dog thing from like the 20s. And we had Woodworm Gentleman Corpse Christmas Special. And finally, Hazel and Cha-Cha Save Christmas, Tales from the Umbrella Academy. So those were the options.
But
Scott quickly chose one by its cover. And of course, he went with the adorable giant pug.
But that's the thing. It's obviously not Scott's. It's the case that we went by the cover. It looks cool. There's a Marion, there's a giant pug. It's called Battlepug. Again, had it said volume 6, you wouldn't have put it in the options. So, and we were all quite happy enough to read that because it looked quite charming. It just didn't deliver based on that. So it literally is like an example of why you should never judge a book by its cover.
That's right. Lesson learned by the 3 of us tonight.
Definitely.
Yeah, well, 4 because Liam. The 4 people have read this book because Liam's read it at least. Nobody else has.
No. So Liam, if you're still there, if you want to drop your score in the chat, we will of course add it to the overall score for tonight. So Phil, do you want to kick us off with your final thoughts and scores for this?
I mean, we have been quite negative, but I feel like I haven't tried to save the book and try to give it a bit of credit because I did. There were times I enjoyed it the first issue. I was like, what is this? It picked up slightly. And it was funny at times. The whole Putin thing and chopping his hands off and then stabbing with the candy canes. And, it's funny and it's stupid. And the whole kind of the bronies, there were things enough in it. There were enough things in it to make me enjoy it and give me a chuckle. However, it's not Christmas. They've thrown it in. The war on Christmas. You wanted to see more of Mrs. Claus. You wanted just a more meatier story, gives a bit of meat, put a bit of meat in those bones type of thing. And yeah, it was fine to a point, but it's not great and it's not going to score too well for me. I am torn what to give it because I could annoy Liam, give it a 2, but I think that'll be unfair. I'm going to go 5. Honestly, it's I don't hate it, but I don't like it. It's okay. The art was lovely and pleasant, and some characters I liked, the designs I liked. So yeah, I'll give it a 5. But it's not something I'd recommend. Certainly not unless you've read the previous 5 volumes, which they should really tell you in the book on the front cover, volume 6. But sure.
Yes, 100%.
5 out of 10 for me.
Fair enough. Martin?
I am going to go along the same lines as Phil. Some little lessons I've learned from being part of the Nerd Herd for the past year, reading book every single week. There's certain things I expect. If there's a trade and it's branded as a trade, I expect to get a full story. That's my expectance now. To go into a story and be told I have to read a compendium, that's a no. At the end of the trade, to be told that it isn't even finished, it's another no. Again, it didn't feel like Christmas. The writing wasn't great. The art was good. The art was a saviour. There was a few little quips in it that I liked. But overall, this was a miss for me. I was going to be really brutal, but I am going to score it a little bit higher than what I was. So I'm going to give this a 4.5.
4.5. Nice. See, I'm the same as you. I was going to be a bit more brutal, but again, after this chat, it happens a lot. I enjoy the chat, so that makes me raise the score of the book. I enjoy the world. The actual world is great. The world building is not there because they expect you to know it because it's already been built in 5 previous volumes that they didn't tell us about. But I like the overall world. I like the bronies. They were a fantastic addition. They made me chuckle as soon as they appeared. Like these big, butch, colourful, cocky, mathy horses that just rock up. And with the most stupid names, they were fantastic. My favourite scene is that abominable snowman scene. That was the clincher for me. Like that was the saving grace of this whole book. If that wasn't in this, it wouldn't even scored what I'm going to score it. That scene was hilarious. The interactions between the two of them, and then for him to be wearing his skin, 2 pages later was just the icing on the cake. I really enjoyed that. Art's great. Again, it's not Christmas. There's no Santa. It's just, it is what it is. It's our fault. Should have done a bit more research before just picking it. But it was a last minute pick. So we'll have to just let it fly, unfortunately. But I'm going to give this a 5. Like Phil, I don't hate it. I don't like it. The art, again, if the art wasn't this good, it would be down. If the abominable snowman weren't in it, they'd be down. So it's going to get a 5 from me, I think.
Well.
Yeah.
And thank goodness Liam gonna give me a proper score because I really didn't want to count to 10 out of 10. So yeah, we knew like Liam's the only person who's commented who's actually read the book, so we didn't think there'd be a lot of uptake in this, but yeah.
No, unfortunately, we understand some of the books we pick, people aren't going to want to read. It's just how it goes. Some of the books we pick, we don't want to read, but we don't get a say because we all pick the books. So Leo says, not for newcomers, not a Christmas book. As I said, enjoyed the randomness. Did get a few laughs and the art was good. I was around a 5, but the discussion has brought me down to a 4.5. So he's the reverse of you and I, Martin, where we went up after the chat. He's gone down. So he enjoyed our chat even less than the book. Thanks, Liam.
All right. Well, I've worked the averages here. So with Martin's 4.5 and Liam's 4.5, the herd have given an average of 4.5.
No.
Add that with my 5 and Shane's 5. Scott hasn't read and didn't score the book this week, so just Shane and I. That gives us an average of 4.8. I hope that's right. So if we look at the leaderboard, if I could find it. Well, I suppose it does come in the top 10 technically for now, but I don't imagine it will be it next week.
I am so glad it didn't beat the naughty list. I know that sounds really bad. I know we scored the naughty list so low, but I enjoyed the naughty list so much more.
Me too.
Yeah. I mean, we can't say anything else we haven't really said, but the naughty list for me would be probably in that top 5, maybe even close to the top. Not I want to say top spot, but at least in the top 3, maybe if they had a proper ending and ended the way we think it should have. But
that would definitely be on the top line. One more issue. If it had one more issue in it to just complete that storyline, that would have been on the top. Yeah,
100%.
And it's such a shame because I think we're going to be talking about the naughty list for a while. We're going to be bringing that up a lot.
Yeah, maybe if the naughty list ends and this big portal is the gateway into that world, and this is what happens. That person, that monster was maybe like Nicholas or something. I don't know. I'm just rambling, but I'm just sad. I actually I messaged Aftershock Comics. I commented on a post they put recently on Instagram, and they liked it, but they didn't reply back.
Oh.
So hopefully, maybe they're just teasing me. They're just kind of letting us know that there's something in the works, but we can't tell yet. But yeah,
I might have to wait till next July for the second part of the naughty list. So that was our review for Battlepug. Unfortunately, it didn't go down very well. It was a last-minute substitution, but if you have read the first 5 volumes, why not pick up Volume 6, War on Christmas, and give it a go. Next week is my pick. I do have a little promo to show you some of the art, and I will tell you what we're reading next week. Here it is. So we're reading The Last Christmas that does have Santa in it. So it is a Christmas book next week. It's from Image Comics from 2006. I think it's 4 or 5 issues, possibly 5. So if you can get that and have that ready, have a read of that for next week and tell us what you think of that. Basically, Santa, it's the end of the world, and Santa now wants to die, but of course he's immortal. So what he has to do is he has to hunt down the final child that believes in him and get rid of him so that he can die. so that's going to be a fun read, I think.
Very festive, isn't it?
Very festive. And next week, of course, is that your chance to pick a book for us to read the following Wednesday. So it doesn't have to be a Christmas book, but if you can think of any that we haven't read already, it'd be nice to finish this year out or this wave out on a Christmas book, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But again, it doesn't have to. It can be whatever you want.
Yep, and we should also say tomorrow at 7
Yes.
p.m. we have a draw along, which I will say that Kevin has done his video in advance and refers to Red Xmas in his video. So don't be confused. We didn't read that, but tomorrow he will be telling us how to draw Bad Santa, which, you know, we might have had Bad Santa tonight had we been able to find Red Xmas. So slightly confusing, but it is there, and it's tomorrow at 7 p.m.
Yes, and then once you've watched that, you can then watch Dawn of Comics Quiz Night on this channel tomorrow. We're doing a video game edition. So
Nice.
We've mixed it up a bit. It's not comic based, it's video game edition. So should be a bit of a laugh. See how that goes. See if a new winner. See how some people go on that. Do we have a do? My StreamYard's not working.
Oh. He's mute. There we go. There is the Dawn of Comics Quiz Night tomorrow night. I'm not sure the exact time, but it'll be after the Kev's draw along video.
Go check it out. It was a good quiz and it was funny. So definitely don't miss that one.
Unfortunately, I wasn't present in this, but maybe the next one. Who knows? I think Shane's gone. He's on mute.
Yeah, he's on mute.
You back with us?
My stream playing up. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
That's all right.
There's just one last thing to do anyway, Shane, and I could see us out. That is, well, if I could find, if I could find the outro. Yeah, let's get your waves out, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Love you.